Hello, my name's Martin. Welcome to Strat Chat. Today we're going to do another kingdom analysis. This time we're going to do Norway. If you're interested in having a look back at Newbie Island, I did an analysis of Ireland. Go back, have a look at that one as well. But I'm planning in a week's time to do a campaign beginning in this county here, Prandheimer. Now this is actually the county capital, and we'll talk about that a little bit during the analysis. But the most significant thing is that this guy is going to be a single county count. That's all he has at the beginning is a single count, and we're going to make him obviously grow to be a great emperor. Just going to have a quick look at this, the decisions. Here we've got one here, secure the high kingdom of the North Sea. So this is like a kind of a kingdom that you can create, and as this leader, in fact I think as most Norwegian leaders, and we're going to be going for that. That's going to be the intention. We're going to try to create that. So this is just an analysis of the Kingdom of Ireland. The Kingdom of Norway. Here it is. It's a very, very large kingdom, and we're going to be having a look at the following aspects. We're going to do like an analysis of the following aspects. We're going to be looking at the different leaders that are going to impact upon us, starting in this part of the world. We're going to be looking at the Norse culture. We're going to be looking at Asatru, the Norse religion. You know, what are the benefits and the disadvantages that brought to the Norwegians for this? We're going to be looking at the land itself. We're going to be thinking about how you might organise your titles once you become the King of Norway. And we're going to be thinking about maybe what kind of goals might we set ourselves, things that we want to set out to achieve during the course of the game. Okay, well let's start off with rulers then. So if I go to the realm tab here, all of this side of Norway, all of this side of the Scandinavian peninsula, if you like, really Norway. And all the way down the coast here, you can see these are very, very small kingdoms. We can click on any one of these and we find we've got a leader here, Chieftain Magnus. He has 622 troops, one county. Next door to him, we got Hrodgar, 412 troops. The point is that we should be able to build an army that will go through these little counties, taking them over militarily, one by one, very, very quickly indeed. And the same going north. This is one title. Got somebody a little bit stronger here with two titles, but 1,000 troops, 400 of which are men at arms. It's, at the beginning of the game, we wouldn't be able to take him on probably, but by the time we've worked our way around here, we've got a little bit of development, improved our army. Should be very, very easy to take these sorts of places over. So it's a very, very good start for somebody who wants to kind of do a quick military conquest. Now, Japland and Uppland are also a part of Norway. They're obviously much, much stronger realms, but nonetheless, there's no reason why we can't take these really, really quickly. So there are two real threats to us, I suppose. Uppland is controlled by Bjorn Ironside. He's strong and he will grow in strength, similar speed to us at the beginning of the game. So we need to have a strategy to protect ourselves from him, potentially to even take things from him in the game. And of course, Snake Eye. He's actually got one of the counties that we will want at some point in the game. And it's very likely that Uppland will take one or two of these counties, which are ones that we want. So at some point or another, we are very likely to come into conflict with Ironside and Snake Eye. Ironside and Snake Eye. Okay, so those are the rulers. Nothing to be scared of, but we're going to do very, very quick military conquest of most of Norway, and very, very quickly become the equal or mightier than those two competitors. So the next thing that I want to look at is the culture, and here we are, the Norse culture. Norse culture covers a very, very big area, and it is worth saying, before we talk about the Norse culture, that if we look at the development of the area covered by the Norse culture, it's pitiful. It's one or 2 development. Actually, when you get a little bit closer to sort of mainland Europe, it can be as high as 4 or 5, but the vast majority are really not very, very well developed. And it isn't the greatest land for developing either. It tends to be a little bit slow to, we'll look at the terrain a little bit later on, but you'll see that it's slower to develop some of this terrain. The significance of that is that getting innovations is going to be relatively slow because we are likely to have a relatively undeveloped culture. So we need to think about potentially changing our culture at some point in the game, or alternatively, just working very, very hard at developing this one. So let's have a look at them. So here's the most significant things. The first thing to look at is that they have ting meat. Ting meat is absolutely critical to the Norse because it means that they have Scandinavian elective. And the trick here is that when we pick the best duchies to become our domain, that we save up the necessary prestige to make the electoral type for that duchy, or the succession laws for that duchy to be Scandinavian elective. Now, if we own all of the counties, we get all of the votes, and we're able to vote for the person we want, i.e. our primary heir, to take over that duchy or those 2 duchies. It means that we're going to be keeping the most powerful, the most well-developed counties in our realm, whatever happens during our succession of the primary titles. Malleable invaders is useful. We're able to create hybrid cultures more easily, and we are able to convert to local culture decision becomes a lot cheaper. So, for example, if we were to fly off and take over England and we wanted to convert to the local culture, it's relatively cheap to do. But I think what's useful for us, because in this playthrough I want to keep the Norse culture and I want to keep our religion. So what's useful here is that forming hybrid cultures requires less acceptance, so it's easier. We go to England, for example, a place of relatively high development, create a hybrid culture of, for example, English and Norse, increasing our overall development for our culture. Coastal Warriors is obviously absolutely brilliant. It gives us a range of interesting men-at-arms. Bondi, Veeman really are just better versions of skirmishers and archers. And we have the Varangian veterans. The Varangian veterans are outstanding heavy infantry, very, very expensive to buy. Going to be putting a lot of resources into building Varangian veterans, and Huskarls also just much, much better pikemen. Traits such as strong in the hail are more common. That's not necessarily an advantage while we're fighting other Norse, but it might be an advantage when we're fighting against people who are not Norse. And strong and hail are seen as prestigious. So we're actually going to do. I'm actually going to create a character for this run through, and that's something to bear in mind, that if he's strong or he's hail, he's going to be getting some extra prestige. So in this one, Northern Stories is really significant. The most important aspect of it is that they're able to raise rune stones. Once every 10 years, you'll be able to build a rune stone. It's a fantastically inexpensive way of producing an awful lot of prestige to build up your army or to build up some of the buildings in your culture. So that's a great one. Northern Stories. Innovations wise, typically we have about 7. I think obviously this would be random. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's actually six currently. Bjorn Ironside is likely to be the head of the culture for quite some time, but we're planning a quick conquest, so perhaps we can rival him reasonably soon. No point talking about which of these we've got, because that's relatively random. But this is important. Long ships. So as a tribal leader, we're going to be able to do raids. Long ships just makes us much, much better at doing that. It makes embarkation costs negligible, so it's very, very cheap to get into boats and sail away. We do that even quicker, 25% faster than other people. We can go right up rivers, so places that should be safe from the Vikings. We can go right up those rivers, and we can raid. So it really improves our ability to raid. So all things, not phenomenally valuable to us, but tribal vassals are going to like us a little bit more because of that +5. And we've got Varangian Adventures, which is an absolutely fascinating thing to play around with, but it's not going to be a part of this playthrough, so I'm not going to be really thinking too deeply about that. So we've got a fascinating culture that we're going to be sort of spreading and hybridizing with other cultures around the map. Okay, so this is performative honour. So performative honour is really good because it means that there is a use for some of your female characters. Now, not every female character can become a shield maiden, but some of them can, which means that you can use females who are members of your family, I believe, who have high prowess, can be used as knights and as in your realm. So one thing that's unique to the Viking culture or the Norse culture is that there is a special. Let me just see if I can find my house legacy tree. There's two special legacy trees. There's Adventurer, which goes down a very interesting route. So this one allows you to send family members to the Varangian Guard, where they pick up skills and traits, and then come back to potentially be a better ruler for you. Gift givers, and I don't understand this one. I've had this offered to me sometimes when I'm on raids. You get the opportunity to trade instead. So I'm not quite sure how good or bad that is, but that's available. But send gift costs are much lower. So if you've got a leader perhaps with reasonably high diplomacy, it could certainly be that you're going to be able to send gifts. Normally that's 100, isn't it? 100 gold for a gift. Try and get somebody on your side and then vassalize them. Well, 50 is a lot cheaper. Goes on, we got Strange Gods here, which makes very good for the religion game. Faith conversion costs reduced dramatically, so you want to spread that religion across your empire. Perhaps you want to spread a Sartru. Or possibly that you are converting to Christianity and you're wanting to convert your realms. This is a good way to do it. And other faiths tending to get on all right with them as well. Veteran explorers, this just allows you to move a little bit more quickly and have better supply. And decentralized rules. This is decentralized rule is where you can become friends with your vassals. You get some several extra sort of points of popular opinion, and a little bit more tax for up to five friends. So that's very interesting. That's completely unique to the Sartru, to the Viking Sartru culture group. But this is the one I think I'm going to be trying to follow. So this one really helps with pillaging. So Sea Wolves increases your personal prowess, increases your naval speed, but also you get prestige from and fame from battles. Both very useful currencies. Now I can get them from winning battles. So that's just a straight up free prestige and fame, because I'm going to be fighting battles all the time. Always space in the hold increases loot capacity, but also increases the maximum size of heavy infantry regiments by 2. So I think typically heavy infantry you can grow to 5 regiments. Now we can go to 7. We can have a massive army of heavy infantry. Kidnappers is brilliant because we get an extra gold from ransoming them. Making a killing increases enemy fatal gold casualties. Enemy fatal casualties. So we win battles. It's going to help that to be the end of the war rather than that army coming back in a few days to fight again. But we're also now getting gold from those battles. So we're getting prestige, we're getting fame, and we're getting gold. All great benefits. And finally, no quarter, which is daily siege progress up 25%. That's very substantial. Also, enemy counties lose substantial amounts of control when they're occupied. So you're basically just doing a lot more damage while you're there. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is religion. And we've got the Sartru religion. So a fascinating religion. The first thing we're going to have a quick look at is holy sites. And you can see there is one right in our heartland here. So this is, whenever it's controlled by a Sartrew, all men-at-arms maintenance is slightly less expensive, naval speed is slightly better. Well, we're obviously going to get that benefit, but we'll get the benefit for these other Sartrew sites as well, because as long as a Sartrew leader controls them, we get the benefits. Be quite interesting. Might be an interest, perhaps a different campaign one day, to go down and get hold of some of these for the benefit of our religion. So let's look at the beliefs. First, we got patrons to the gods. Now, this is really, really useful because this is a decision which allows us to choose our personal deity, and it gives you kind of like 2 or 3 additional points in maybe in your martial, or perhaps in it's one of your attributes. And the great thing about that is that at certain points in the game, it might be that you want to be more military, but later on in the game, you want to be perhaps better at intrigue, for example. And all you need to do is just change your personal deity. So that's a really nice, minor but significant and interesting bonus to play around with. Warmonger is absolutely incredible, because normally when you're at peace, your people are happy. When you go to war too much, you get penalties to their happiness. This is completely the other way around. Okay, so as long as you're at war, your people are happy. It's when you stop going to war that you start to build up. And we're playing the Vikings. We're going to be going to war. We're going to be doing lots and lots of attacking. We also have this invasion casus belli, which I think allows us to take over entire realms in one go. So a lot of benefits to that. Finally, the blot. Blot's going to be really, really good for us at the beginning, because it's a very good way of earning piety. We can earn piety by executing prisoners. I think most religions in the world, it works the other way around. You lose piety when you execute people. But we're also able to hold grand sacrifices. And at the beginning, all of our people are likely to be a Sartrew. So that is going to be very, very good for increasing our personal kind of popularity. Later on, when we have a realm which has a variety of cultures, it may not be so effective, because people who are not a Sartrew tend not to be very, very happy about you using the blots. Okay, so the next thing that's perhaps there's nothing very, very important here, except until you get down to clerical appointments. Rulers appoint their own realm priest or court chaplain. That's absolutely brilliant. You can't do that if you're Catholic. You can't even do that if you're insular Christianity, but you can do it when you're a Sartrew. Christians often spend a lot of time trying to murder their priests. We don't need to do that. We can simply fire them and get another one in. Also, we can pick from male or females, and they can marry. And that's really, really useful, because what it means is that we can use a character who's unmarried to bring somebody with very, very high learning to our court. We can make them there's a specific word for it, our Godi. And it can be a male or it can be a female. So one of the limits some cultures is that all of these characters have to be male. Only this one can be female. Here we've got 2 roles that can be done by females. So that's kind of just gives us a little bit more flexibility. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is the terrain itself. So if we just have a quick look at this. So much of Norway is made up of these hills. They're very, very good defensively, but they're not so good for sort of development. We've got plains. Now this is actually our capital. This is our county. So not so good defensively, but very, very good for developing, or the best that we're going to get in Norway. And down here we've got a lot of plains, and these are the best for sort of long-term development. And you can see this is the area of Norway where the capital eventually develops, Oslo, around here, whatever. So I think that it would be well worth considering making sure that these end up in our domain, because those are the counties that we're going to want to be developing, really, really sort of like pushing. Lots of very good defensive terrain. So if we get attacked, or indeed if we're attacking, we can think about picking the terrain as carefully as possible, making sure that we maximise our advantages. A title organisation. Okay, so if we just look at Norway, we can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Was that all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. There are 9 duchies in total. And we need to control 16 counties in order to be able to form the Kingdom of Norway. So we're looking at a really, really big kingdom. And also, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 of these duchies actually have 4 counties within them. So if I just run through which those are, the first one is Iceland, but Iceland is obviously a long way away from sort of mainland Norway, so it's probably a kind of a low priority in terms of, you know, being one of the duchies that's a part of our domain. But we do have Viking. So if I just click on this, this is Viking down here. 4 counties. Much of the land is plains. This has got to be our realm capital. We're going to try and take Viking relatively early in the campaign. We're going to make it ours. We're going to have all of the counties in our personal domain as well as the duchy title. We're going to use that Scandinavian elective to make sure that we pass that on to our primary heir every single generation. That's the best one. There are others. Uppland is also 4 here. At the beginning of the game, it belongs to somebody else, and if we look at the train, I think we'll find that it's mostly sort of like mountains and hills. So it's a difficult area to kind of develop. And the other one with 4 is Jämtland. But again, we've got the same sort of problem. This is very, very hilly terrain, very, very mountainous terrain. And it is worth saying that both Uppland and Jämtland are not a part of that kingdom of the north, which we'll talk about briefly in a second. So I think these are less important to us. We can take our time getting around to capturing those, partly because we want to build up our strength first, but also because they're not an intrinsic part of what I'm trying to achieve in this playthrough. So obviously I'm going to try and keep hold of the capital. The capital duchy has 3 counties. So if I can have characters who can have 7 holdings in their domain, it might be that these could be the 2 duchies that I keep within my realm. Okay, so all of the others, I think once we become the sort of the King of Norway, it should be possible to actually vassalise some of these. Jämtland, this isn't a part of Norway. Jämtland probably can vassalise that. Uppland, we can probably vassalise that. I suspect we can vassalise this duchy here, which is the duchy of the sort of it's the Northern Isles, isn't it? So this is the Orkneys, the Faroes, etc., those places, and we can probably vassalise Iceland as well. So what we really are going to want to be aiming for is one of our best characters who is like a really good steward. He might be the Duke of this, and he might control both of the counties there. Gulapingslag will have maybe our marshal, perhaps, who will be a superb marshal. We'll perhaps have him in charge of that, and we're going to try and get a character with reasonably good diplomacy. We might be able to befriend these people, and make it impossible for them to rebel against us, and so we end up with Norway becoming a very, very sort of powerful base. Perhaps the same here. Perhaps this will be our chancellor. And the other thing to think about, is to perhaps take one of these less valuable duchies, perhaps Uppland or Jämtland, if we can give that to our primary heir as a way of giving them some experience when they hit 16, of getting some experience and starting to acquire some points into their learning lifestyle. When our main character dies, our primary heir brings Uppland with with them to the throne, and they can perhaps, well, ideally, pass it down to their own primary heir. So that's the sort of thing that I'm going to be sort of like thinking about trying to do. So let's just talk about goals. Okay, so one of the first things that, as far as goals are concerned, is Asatru is an unreformed faith. I would like to keep the Asatru religion, spread it to the parts of the world that I take over, and indeed reform it, possibly in my second, the lifetime of perhaps my second king, my second leader, so that we can really sort of turn that into a really, really useful and more modern type of religion. It might be that Blot becomes less useful, for example. We could probably swap that out for something else. So one of the things I'm going to be trying to do is champion Asatru, a religion which obviously died out in the real world, and see if we can make it really sort of important in this world. Another possibility, of course, is to become the emperor of this vast kingdom. But you know, it's a poor kingdom. Vast parts of it have got one development. Vast parts of it is mountainous, remote, cold. So that's a possibility. But what I'm really interested in is this one. Let's just find the decision. Secure the kingdom of the North Sea. So the kingdom of the North Sea is to basically control a bunch of territory, which we'll have a look at in a second. You need 200 gold, 1,000 prestige, which by the time you get to this point in the game isn't even that much, and you have, and we get like a kind of the North Sea becomes like a new empire title. We automatically change to feudal, so that's a really good way to change to feudal if we haven't done it the normal way. Kingdom of the High Seas, various benefits to that, but we have to control all of the North Sea heartlands. So if I just click on that and then get rid of this for a minute, we can see it's this part of Scandinavia. You can see how sort of Jamtaland is not inside this future empire. So that's why they're a little bit less important to capture that. I think the same with Uppland. Most of modern day Denmark, the Danelaw of England, the east coast of England, all the way down to London. And if I can control all of that and fulfil the other conditions, which actually I think is quite achievable, then we can form this empire, move our capital to London, one of the greatest counties in the game, and form a hybrid culture, make sure that everybody's Asatru, reform the religion. I think that would be a fantastic playthrough, and I'm looking forward to doing that. 2 weeks from today, I'm going to be posting that playthrough. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.